Hey everybody, welcome back. Last video, I was leaving Richmond. I think that was day 19. We're up to day 23. I've actually been spending a couple days here in Topsail, North Carolina as a little mini vacation, but let's get into the recap. So on my one day off in Richmond, I decided to go to the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. I've been there before, absolutely love it. It's a free museum, and they have some really awesome examples of some Renaissance art. They have ancient Roman and Greek art. It's really, really extensive museum for something that's free. So it was definitely something I wasn't going to pass up. Leaving Richmond, again, on par. We have a little bit of overcast. It actually had rained quite hard the night before. I really could not escape this rain. But going through downtown Richmond, I really liked it. It's got this kind of like old city Philadelphia colonial feel, which makes sense. It's a pretty colonial city. Definitely love going through it. It was not chaotic at all. There was no issue with traffic. And overall, pretty easy to get through. If I had any single complaint about the downtown area, it was that they used the kind of cobblestone situation again for the road, which isn't great for the bike, but I've definitely dealt with much worse. Now, once outside of downtown Richmond, it started the trail that goes all the way from Richmond to Williamsburg. At the beginning of it, it's got this kind of city walk feel, which was really, really cool to see. There were some people walking, but overall, I didn't see many people on it. I was really impressed with this section of Virginia. Again, following this out, now we're past the Riverwalk kind of situation, and we're onto the trail proper, and this went all the way down to Williamsburg, so I didn't have any issues with any traffic or anything this entire time. This made it really easy to make some good progress this day. After having quite a few harder days and having the day off, it was really nice to have an easier ride going through all of this. I didn't really have to worry about navigating too much. Even though the weather was overcast, it did rain slightly a little bit, but it wasn't too terrible. So I was able to have a pretty easygoing day. And because of that, I didn't really exert myself too much, and I was able to get a lot of miles this day. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was one of my 100-mile days. As you can see, it's just trail after trail after trail. It's really well paved. It followed, I think, a local highway for a little bit of the time, so I wasn't in the middle of nowhere. If I needed provisions, I had them. It was definitely one of the less chaotic and less problematic days that I had. Overall, really good situation. I really enjoyed this path. Now, about 30 miles into my trip, we're going to see this coming up, there was this little brewery tavern situation that was kind of just like in the middle of nowhere. So I stopped. I got a falafel burger. Was really impressed with that. It was exactly what I needed. Refuel and then get back on the road. So this trail was giving me kind of the same vibes as the Mount Vernon Trail in Northern Virginia. It was really unbroken. It was a really good path, really well maintained. Overall, really exceptional. I think the only difference I felt was that I didn't feel desperate for water. Maybe there was more provisions around. Maybe it was just because it wasn't hot. But overall, I felt a little bit easier about that. On top of that, near the end of the trail, right before the ferry, there was this little shop called Spoken Art. It was a mix like art gallery and bike shop, and it was exactly what I needed. And here we go. Just as I'm leaving, here comes the rain again. I feel like I haven't been dry since I left Jersey, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be dry for a little while. This is really funky weather, but we're coming up on the ferry, and I had a little bit of time to just kind of relax. It wasn't cold, so at least there was that going, but I am getting tired of just being soaked all the time. So this was a free ferry, actually, and it ran every 30 minutes. It ended up taking me about 45 minutes out of my riding day, but overall, it wasn't that big of a deal. This was definitely not specifically for pedestrians or bikes, but I was allowed to go on, and the crew was definitely really helpful, so I had no issues there. So this is an interesting tidbit. I'm taking the alternate route for the East Coast Greenway that goes closer to the shore, and part of this is I have to take a ferry over. I think I'm the only bike here. It's mostly a car ferry. It's been raining pretty hard, pretty wild out, but I don't know. Let's see how it goes. I was making pretty good pace, and I didn't have any specific places I needed to get to in a certain time, so I was actually pretty welcoming of the chance to just kind of relax and take the boat trip. I wasn't stressed about anything, and if anything, I was kind of waiting for the rain to die down anyway, so it was probably for the best, and I enjoyed it. Thank you very much, bud. Appreciate it. Buddy. So it ended up raining off and on for the rest of the day. It actually, I think, slowed up by the time that I got to Suffolk, which is where I posted a tent. I actually did end up doing 100 miles that day. So even though the weather really hasn't been cooperating completely, the few things I did have going for me was I'd gotten out of most of the climbing. I don't think I have much more climbing at all for the rest of the trip. And I didn't have that heat to contend with. So because I had the flat and I was able to kind of move past a lot of it, not all of it, I actually knocked out 100 miles there, and then I think 100 miles the next day too. So I was really rolling at this point. The other thing, after the heat, I tried to be a little bit better with provisions, stock up a little bit more water, stock up a little bit more food, be a little bit more cognizant of when to stop. And rather than actually slowing me down, I think it was giving me a little bit better of a schedule to get more miles in throughout the day. Now, leaving Suffolk, it was actually a really nice day to start off with. There wasn't raining the entire time that I've been going through this trip. It's just been raining consistently almost every day at some point. But yeah, it was getting a little hot. This section down in Southern Virginia, again, a little bit more trail. It wasn't the most well-maintained at this point, but again, just being off-road was really nice. Now, this was really cool. I think this was Dismal Swamp State Park, the Virginia side. It looks like they had planned a road for some reason and just decided, nah, we're not going to actually make this through traffic, and this was just completely for bikes and pedestrians. Now, if this was the entire East Coast, this whole trip would be a dream. This was excellent. I had so much space. The road was so well put together. It was a really scenic around. This was really, really enjoyable part. I was fortunate that it was there, but I was a little unfortunate that I think it was only maybe a 6-mile stretch. And then we started coming up on the border of Carolina, and I had to deviate onto Route 17. And Route 17 is not fun. You know, I'm coming up on the border of North Carolina, so I was really excited to actually finish off another state. But I was absolutely not excited about this. This is the tiniest shoulder ever. It says that the speed limit is, what is it saying up here? 60 miles an hour? Yeah, no, there were people flying by at least 75, 80 miles an hour. They did not care that I was on a bike. A lot of them saw that I was on a bike, and most of the people moved over. But at the same time, there were plenty of people who just did not care. It was terrifying. And apparently, I got a lot of this coming up in the south, so definitely not looking forward to this kind of road condition. Fortunately for me, that I only had to do about a 4-mile stretch on 17 that day, and then North Carolina actually had a section on that same Dismal Swamp canal thing. It was definitely not nearly as maintained as the Virginia side. It was really bumpy. There was a lot of roots that were pulling up the track, which is always pretty awful on the hands, and Overall, not the best riding surface, but I will 100% take it over Route 17. Now, this is mostly of what North Carolina was for me. It was just fields and nothingness. Now, there were some woods and stretches and stuff, but for the most part, I was in the middle of nowhere the entire way through the state. There was mostly back roads for all of this, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I did hundreds of miles through Carolina, and it mostly looked the same. There was some times where I was starting to kind of go a little crazy and think like, did I pass that? Did I already do that? Because it just all seems so monotonously the same. The one thing I did notice specifically, which didn't surprise me, but it was kind of interesting to see, was I was always looking for a convenience store, and I wasn't finding many of them because, for the most part, there wasn't really a lot of people, so it makes sense. But I was finding churches everywhere. I'm like not kidding. I think for every one convenience store, there was like 7 or 8 churches. There was even a few times where I saw churches that were like in front of each other. There wasn't even a town or people around, but there was 2 churches. See? On my right, a church. The other thing that I noticed, just I think from a more recent thing, was even though it had been a pretty nice day out, all of the little gullies on the side of the road were completely flooded. All the fields were flooded, so I'm sure they got a really bad storm, which is not good when I'm trying to camp in random places because that shows to me that anywhere that I post up is going to flood, so I had to be really careful about where I was selecting to go. So that was making me a little nervous as well. I was starting to notice in certain places the landscape starting to change quite a bit. It was going away from what I kind of am typically used to in the Northeast to this kind of like swampy situation. There was a lot of these forests that were flooded out, or there was inlets going through. So I was definitely seeing some of that change. But for the most part, again, it was just monotonous fields and farms and nothingness. There was houses, but like very few and far between. Quite a rural state. I think overall there was really only like 5 legitimate cities on the way down to Topsail. And this is one of this is Edenton. Pretty nice place. Here we go again. Another church. Whenever I wanted something to snack on, all there was churches. Now, I will say, everybody that I met in North Carolina was absolutely fantastic. They were so friendly and so nice, and had some really awesome conversations with a lot of people there. So, on an individual level, I definitely did not have an issue with anybody. But coming up, this billboard up here really concerned me that they had to advertise this. It says that white supremacy has no place in Uniontown. The fact that you have to advertise that really makes me concerned. I'm coming to the end of my day. This is my second 100-mile day, and then again on a highway, and it's about to storm, so I had to hurry up and quickly dip into somewhere and find somewhere to sleep. So overnight, it had rained again. Again, it's not raining all the time, but it's definitely raining every single day, and it's causing a little issue with me to try and dry off. Clears up the next day. Again, here's another church to the left of me. No convenience store. But overall, riding conditions itself were pretty good. Even if the weather was kind of back on and back off, the roads themselves were pretty nice. Overall, in North Carolina, up until this point, it wasn't really bad traffic or bad highway situations. So I was pretty glad with the routes that they were giving me and that I had found. However, it did have to route me again on Route 17 a couple times. Here I am going towards Williamstown. There is no shoulder. I'm on the highway. I'm going over a bridge. It is really nerve-wracking, really scary. And again, coming up, kind of a prediction, I'm really nervous about South Carolina because apparently most of the roads are going to be like this. I am really not looking forward to that. Thankfully, once I got into Williamstown, there was a little bit more of a trail and there was a little more of a downtown, so it did try to divert me as quickly as it could once to get off 17, but even those little sections I was not happy about. Here we go again, another local road. Weather was holding up a little bit better this day. It was definitely nice out, nice riding, but I was getting really tired of just seeing the same old thing. It was really monotonous. Now I had a planned detour and it worked really, really well. And then it took me onto this like farm trail and I ended up in a really thick area and I ended up hitting something and it caused my tire in the back to pop. So luckily I had the tube. I just kind of went through my stuff, went through my tools. Took me about 30 so minutes. So what should have been a shortcut ended up actually being more of a little bit longer, but overall the route otherwise was worth it. So I don't have any regrets with that. I have been noticing recently that a lot of my gear is starting to fall apart. So I've already had to replace a backpack. I've replaced 3 tubes. I've replaced tires. My frame bag broke, so it's no longer waterproof. I've been, my shirts are starting to fall apart a little bit. Definitely been going through it from a gear standpoint, but again, these are kind of predictable things. This is definitely not easy on any of the stuff that I'm doing. So you just got to plan ahead and then also be a little creative when things don't go the way that you need them to. So other than the setback, again, a really good, nice day. I was able to pull off another 90 miles because, again, really flat route, really easy going. I didn't have any wind issues. There wasn't any traffic issues. Overall, a really good day other than kind of some of those highway stretches. But I was really making some good pace through North Carolina. The only issue was I was really bored. Surprise, surprise, another church. Still no convenience stores, but another church. Here's one of the few actual cities. And I say city in the fact that it had, I think, one fast food joint. And I saw maybe one other store, but I guess that counts for a city down here. Again, back to the monotonous fields. Really nice, really bored. I was so bored. Again, I was coming to the end of my day. I had already gotten 90 miles in, looking for a place to stop. I found a good spot of what I thought, but again, it's not the spot that really hit me, it's the weather. The weather was really tripping me up. Hey, so I'm here in North Carolina, and it's morning, and I was trying to wait out the rain, but found out the tent is leaking. So we're going to try and get out of here, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Great start to the day. Not fun. So my hypothesis was that it had been raining so often and I had to pack the tent in that it never really had a chance to dry. So when I had a really strong rain at night, it just soaked through and everything wasn't able to kind of beat off the way it was. So this is going through Jacksonville, North Carolina. This is going around Camp Lejeune. So if anybody's a Marine, you're definitely going to recognize that one. I had heard in the past that there was some issues with trying to get around the base. I did not have any issues. There was lots of trails around it. It was actually one of the more pleasant areas going through North Carolina. So maybe this is a little bit recent. I guess it is. But if it is, I'm really impressed with this. This is what I think I want more of going through the South. Now, this day was short because I actually had a destination. I was trying to get to Surf City or Topsail Island, and it was only a 40-minute distance from where I was at. But it was a really tough day. A lot of the section was back on that Route 17, which is really nerve-wracking. The other thing was that, again, I'd had the issues with the rain before. And on top of that, which I hadn't come up with a lot up until this point, but coming to the shore, I should have really known. I should have planned ahead. The headwind was so bad. It was really flat, but I think I was only averaging maybe 9 miles an hour. And to put that in perspective, for the last days before, when I was hitting those 100 miles and 90-mile days, I think I was averaging something like 14 miles an hour. So I'm losing almost like half of my speed. And on top of that, I'm tired, I'm ready to stop, and I still got that one last climb over the bridge. I'm hoping that after the bridge is over, that like, oh yeah, I can kind of finally relax, I can turn away. I swear the headwind was following me the entire time. Once on Topsail, there's some more bike lanes, so on that front, it was definitely a lot easier. But that headwind, it was following me. I felt just exhausted. I felt so tired. I was ready to be done. This 40-mile day felt harder than some of my 100-mile days. So as I'm finishing my day, I'm tired, but I really need to eat. Luckily for me, I had been here last year with my girlfriend for vacation, so we knew some of the spots. So I decided to stop at the Maine Lobster Shack. I actually got to meet Trevor, the owner, and I will tell all of you, this is the best lobster roll that I had on the trip, even through all of Maine. This was far better, and the clam chowder was so good. Trevor was such an awesome guy. He was so helpful. He was so excited about what I was doing. If you are in Surf City, go to the Lobster Shack. And here we go. Finally able to get some beach action. It was time to relax. It was time to actually have a little bit of a moment to myself and not have to just constantly pack up. And here we got some more food. This is Shaka Taco. I got the Mahi Taco Bowl. Super, super good. There's a lot of good restaurants here.
Hey everybody, a little special edition of Cola Down the Coast. I am here at the Karen Beasley Sanctuary for Turtles, and we have a little bit of a special guest. This is Kathy. She's going to explain to us a little bit about what they do and our special guest that we have here.
I didn't know I was going to be on camera. I thought it was you.
It's okay.
Hi, I'm Kathy Zagzebski, the Executive Director here at the Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Rescue and Rehabilitation Center. And we're going to show you Snooki. Snooki is our largest patient. She weighs a beautiful, healthy 320 pounds. She is an adult female loggerhead turtle who originally stranded in New Jersey. And she unfortunately has a permanent buoyancy disorder, so she can't be released, but we're looking for a forever home for Snooki. And in the meantime, we give her all the capelin and mackerel and squid she can eat and do our best to take care of her. She's a very splashy turtle. She definitely gives us a run for the money, and she's one of our most charismatic turtles here. So enjoy Snooki.
Thank you. Let's go see Snooki.
I had actually met and adopted Snooki last year, so this is my second time going to see her. I promise you, she's more energetic than this. I think she was just enjoying a little bit of the whirlpool action in her new tank. They actually upgraded her tank from a smaller one last year to a bigger one, so the contributions definitely helped. So this trip is still all about the animals. I know that the focus on the Plainfield Humane Society, but anytime that I can reach out and help any animals that I can throughout this trip, I'm definitely going to do it, and especially for a Jersey girl like Snooki. Love you, Snooki.
So that does it for days 19 through 23. I have another day here in Topsail, and then I'm going to be leaving towards Wilmington, North Carolina tomorrow. The next few days I'll be heading through South Carolina, which will be quite a challenge. Apparently the roads through South Carolina mostly are highway and not well adapted for bikes at all. They're either very small shoulders or sometimes no shoulders at all, so I'm going to have to be very careful about that. On top of that, apparently the weather is not changing, and for the next 10 days it is still forecasted for more rain. So my work is definitely cut out for me. Before I signed off, I did want to ask for some of your help. For the next stretch, it would be very helpful if I had anybody that could host me. So for the following cities, if anybody lives in the area, please click the link in my bio to either get my email and email me, or you could direct message me through Instagram. If anybody is in the Wilmington, North Carolina area, the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, the Charleston, South Carolina area, the Savannah, Georgia area or the Brunswick, Georgia area. It would definitely help me out quite a bit if anybody was willing to host me. In addition, like I've said before, we're starting to come to the end of the trip, and we really need donations. So one more time, if you've donated, thank you so much. Please share everything you can so that we can get other people to donate. If you haven't donated yet, now is the time. There is no minimum. If you have $1 to donate, please donate $1, $5, anything helps. So thank you guys for all your support, and until next time, see you further down the coast.